For years now, I've had to add the disclaimer, requires the full version of Kontakt to all of my sample libraries, but not anymore. My free prototypes required Kontakt, but they're gone now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch my last video. There was a funeral. And now Soft Drums, PostFelt, and of course the Feathered Flute, which is distributed by Spitfire Audio, now work with the free Kontakt Player, which means you no longer need the $300 piece of software to run my instruments. We've also added a new feature to Soft Drums, which I'll talk about later. I love Kontakt, and I know that is an unpopular opinion to many of you, but it makes it very easy for developers like myself to get up and running fast. It's rock solid, it works in all the DAWs, but the whole Kontakt Full versus the free player has been very confusing to me, and it's been very confusing to many of you. Raise your hand if you have been confused at some point.
Mine is in demo mode. I fully understand.
In order to take an instrument from the full player to the free player requires the encoding process, and that process is not very cheap. The pricing information is all public. You can go check it out. Basically, I bought a used car to make this work, a used car in 2023. But my hope is that this opens up Soft Drums and PostFelt to a much larger audience. You know, my generation, the 40-year-olds, even the 30-year-olds, and some of you late 20 folks, we had to have Kontakt. It was just a given. You bought it. Most of us bought it with the complete bundle. But if you're starting music now and you're in your 20s or in your teens, paying $300 for a piece of software when there's so many other great options out there for free or next to nothing. I get that $59 or $79 is not cheap, but it's better than $359 or $379. One of the perks for basically buying a used car from Native Instruments is that they send you this keyboard. It's the complete 40-something, it's not the new one, and they do that so that we can make the instrument NKS compatible and take advantage of all of the nifty controls, and I'll show you that later. If you already own Soft Drums and PostFelt, the upgrade is free. You are going to get a new license code because now it's going to deliver only through the Native Access 2 app from Native Instruments. So if you don't have that, you'll need to go download it and get the code that I send you through email, and that will get you started. Copy the code from your email, click add a product, paste. Keep in mind, this is a completely new version, so you can't simply replace what you already have. If you're using that in a session, keep using it. I do suggest that you change the name of that folder from the old version so that when you download the new one, there are no issues and it's not overriding anything. Then, when you know you're done with the full version, you can go ahead and delete it. If you're thinking, John, really should charge for these updates, well, quite a few have actually emailed to tell me that. So I will give you the option of sending me a tip. I'll put a PayPal link in the description or right here. I had to switch to a new online store for reasons I won't get into. It's a bit of a pain, but it has a new feature where you can gift these sounds. And since the $300 entry fee of Kontakt is no longer required, might be a good Christmas gift. Let's take a look at Soft Drums. This is what I'm most excited about. It shows up in the browser window, which does not work if you are not encoded in NKS and all that. Of course, you can use Kontakt here, or you can use the complete control, which I admit I haven't used a ton of, and I'm still somewhat learning my way around. But I can go to the browser here. I can search all products, get down, let's go find Soft Drums. Where are you? I have too many Native Instruments. Oh, Feathered Flute, there you are. Go, look at that. And then I can listen to the snapshots. That's still my favorite. And I can load it. Look at that. So unexpected that sound would be the one that I love the most. If you listen to these kick drums, you've got the stiff kick drum, which it's still played with a fluffy beater, but it's so aggressive, especially with the compression. I use it all the time for much bigger tracks than I ever anticipated using this instrument on. But of course, you still have firm, which is kind of the most natural of the three, and fluffy is really, you want that sub information, but not a ton of attack. Go watch the walkthrough. Nothing much has changed here. However, you might have seen multi-out. I'm gonna go back to Kontakt 7 though. If I load in multi-out, I now have the ability to take these instruments and run all of the close mics out to a different channel and the overheads and rooms out to different channels. This works a little different on every DAW, but basically when you go to your master output section, I have created these 16 outputs. I would say this is more of an advanced feature. Not everybody's going to want to do this. If you want more control, then basically you have to create these extra outputs by going to 16 stereo outputs, and I named this Soft Drums Multi-Out. Be sure to close down Pro Tools or whatever it is, then open it back up, or at least close down Kontakt. It gets a little finicky. And you can see I have a session set up where I already have my kick, snare, hat, tom 1, tom 2, tom 3, overhead, room, and I've assigned them already to Kontakt Out, which is, I guess, if I select my kick drum by playing it, like this auto function allows me to select. Then I can take my close mic output 2. Now my kick drum is going to that channel. My snare is going to 3. Hi-hat is 4. Tom 1 is 5. Tom 2 is 6. Tom 3 is 7. And then my overheads, these are separate, go to 8, and my rooms go to 9. So now when I play, keep in mind there is no compressor built in because we had to get rid of that because that is on the master bus, and since these are all going out individual, that no longer worked. But the idea here is that if you want to go to this treble, you are going to mix it yourself. So now you can put any plugins you want on the individual drums. Basically, this gets it back to the way that I recorded it. Now, some things you'll still need to do over here. For instance, the kick drum, if you want all in or all out, then you need to make that adjustment inside of here. And same thing with snare, you've got your top and your bottom. Also keep in mind that say you want more snare in or less snare in the overhead, you could bring it down there. So there's no snare in the overhead. So my suggestion is kind of get the balance that you want inside the instrument and then put them separate. There are times when I dial in the sound the way I want, I print it, and I never mess with it again. But I can certainly imagine times where I would want to have more control in the mix, especially if I was sending it off to somebody else. A traditional mix engineer is going to want the kick separate from the toms. Let's hop back over to Complete Control. Let's see what happens when we load in PostFelt. Obviously I can search through here, but sometimes it's easier to use the computer. If I go to Browser, now I'm browsing through the different presets. I can load. I forget how inspiring this thing is to me. That's super dark sounding, but I can make some changes here, bring up my EQ. This is still one of my favorite presets. Turn the layers off and get back to. If I go to my layers page and go onto 2, now I have control over all the layers individually. Sometimes you need a little time away from an instrument to realize why you made it in the first place. If you want to hear more, go watch the walkthrough videos. Talk soon.